Looking back at this wild week of news, I think NBC's Chuck Todd said it best the other day. He said this may have been the Trumpiest week yet. And all of that was on display at Saturday night's rally in Pennsylvania. I looked at the rally and I heard an enemies list. The president ticking off all the people he views as opponents, including the aforementioned Chuck Todd.
Sleepy eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch. CNN, fake as hell, CNN. The worst. That Washington, D.C., got a lot of evil there. A lot of bad people, a lot of fake media. Look at them. A lot of fake media.
Journalists are still near the top of Trump's enemies list, and that attack against Chuck Todd in particular has to be called out. It's offensive, and it's just plain wrong. And if the president doesn't know that, maybe Melania can tell him? But look, there were many other attacks, many other names on the enemies list. Even though the president was stumping in Pennsylvania, he decided to attack a California congresswoman and a Massachusetts senator.
Can you imagine covering Bernie or Pocahontas? Pocahontas, how about that? And Maxine Waters, a very low IQ individual. You ever see her? I'd love to beat Oprah. I know her weakness. No, I know her weakness.
And she knows yours. But hey, that's besides the point. This rally had it all. A lot of jokes, a lot of playfulness that the crowd loved, but also hatred of his enemies, hostility toward dissent, hints of racial resentment, a lot of anxiety about the future, and a lot of nostalgia about the past, even the 2016 election. Notice what he says here about women voters.
Didn't we surprise them with women during the election? Remember? Women won't like Donald Trump. I said, have I really had that kind of a problem? We got 52%, right? 52, right?
He's wrong in a way that's really intriguing. Trump actually won 41% of female voters. So let me show you why this matters. When he said 52% of women, he apparently meant white women. You can see there 52% of white women went for President Trump. He was unable to win black and Hispanic women in big numbers. Look, if other presidents made these kinds of errors, the kinds of errors that Trump makes at these rallies, it would be front page news, right? It would be front page news, but not anymore. We have a lot to get to this hour, including Chuck Todd responding to the president's vulgarities. But first, let's go to Selena Zito. She's a columnist with the New York Post and the Washington Examiner, also works with us here at CNN, and she was at the rally last night. I'm also joined by April Ryan, White House correspondent and Washington bureau chief for American Urban Radio Networks, and John Avlon, editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast. Selena, you were there. I'm describing a pretty dark image, a lot of enemies that the president was talking about. But it sounds to me from your reporting that the people at the rally thought it was very lively, very positive.
Yeah, absolutely. So the parts that you picked out obviously are not normal. And that's not what presidents say. And when you look at it in the piecemeal, it's unnerving. But you have to look, for me as a reporter on the ground, I live in the 18th Congressional District as well. This is the first time, this has sort of been the center of attention.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it sort of from the perspective of the people that are going. So I got there super early. I mean, there were people that camped out overnight to make sure that they got into the event. There were I don't know what the number was, but there were a ton of people that were turned away, so they couldn't attend. These events are very festive. They remind you very much of attending a tailgate party. People are happy. They see their neighbors. They bring their kids. They bring their families, and they're excited about attending. They're excited about seeing the president, and for them, it's aspirational because they feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves.
And that's the divide in America today.
It is.
Between the folks who attended the rally and the folks who, let's take President Trump saying that Maxine Waters, once again, he has said that she has a low IQ. April Ryan, a lot of other Americans hear that and think it's racist. What was your reaction to the rally, April?
Well, I felt watching it, I felt he was in his comfort zone last night. And I did hear him say that about Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters, she was a lawyer prior to Congress. So, I mean, I don't understand how she could have a low IQ, but he clearly doesn't like her because she's calling and has called basically since day one of this Trump administration for his impeachment. If you are against the president or if you stand out saying, look, this is not right, he has a tendency not to like you. But I really took note of his confidence. He was in his element last night. I mean, he was making fun of presidents. How, he said, well, they want me to be presidential. And he was acting like someone who is presidential. He said, if I came out like that, you'd be bored. So he definitely wanted to entertain them. He understood the entertainment value. It's almost like a preacher.
Sorry to cut you off, April.
Preacher to me on Sunday morning.
Exactly. I mean, your point about the entertainment value.
Yeah.
I'm seeing all these tweets, I think probably mostly from liberals or Trump haters, Trump skeptics at least, who are saying that we should not even broadcast these rallies. John Avlon, do you have a reaction to that?
Of course you broadcast them. He's the President of the United States. You don't need to keep the open podium on every candidate in every campaign, but this is inherently newsworthy. That's it. He is a showman at heart. This is the part of the presidency he likes the most, is where he grafts P.T. Barnum onto it. What's really stunning about these rallies, and no question, he gives a good rally, and it's very entertaining, it demeans the presidency in a way that's actually pretty insidious.
It demeans the presidency?
It ultimately does, because it's not a traveling medicine show. It's not a Carnival Barker position. This is not a reality show. It is reality with incredible life or death, real world responsibility, and simply having fun with it, and saying, I'm only playfully hating my enemies, is a dangerous card that's been played throughout history with usually unwelcome results. And what Selena's describing is also something interesting. The atmosphere sounds like not only a football game but a dead show. It's a tribal meeting at the end of the day. This is tribal politics, and that can be very affirming if you're in the tribe. But that's not what presidents are supposed to do. They're supposed to unite the country, not appeal to identity politics, white identity politics being something that he has really exacerbated and successfully surfed off of.
Let's look at another moment from the rally that I thought was notable. And Selena, I'd love your reaction to this. This is from Meet the Press. Chuck Todd took two parts of the rally, one where the president was talking about the media, then when the president was talking about Kim Jong-un, smash them together. And here's what Todd had to say.
A lot of bad people, a lot of fake media. Look at them. A lot of fake media. Fake media. South Korea came to my office after having gone to North Korea and seeing Kim Jong-un. And no, it's very positive. No.
So the image of an American president encouraging boos of the American press corps and discouraging boos of a dictator from North Korea.
It is quite a contrast. So I wonder, Selena, when you're there at the rally, is it ever uncomfortable when the fake news media is being booed?
It's part of the shtick. I don't think anybody felt unsafe when it happens. So it's hard to unpack in that it's part of his deal. It's sort of like the lock her up. You can't lock her up anymore because he's not running against her. So this is a continuation of reminding his voters that people are against him and he is there for them. And also he speaks in such a stream of consciousness. It's when all these things are strung together, people will just keep clapping no matter what. And I was struck by this, and I wanted to make this point. Attending Trump rallies and attending Obama rallies, I wonder what's going to happen after Trump. In that when President Obama spoke, he was so aspirational. He was so eloquent. He really was on a platform of his own. And then Trump is like the opposite. What are we going to do next? I can't even imagine what fills the gap of these two men in their completely different, but sort of historic way that they approach the presidency.
Right. April, I see you wanting to react.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Selena. I totally disagree. This is not shtick. It's not comedy. This is real and it's dangerous. During the campaign, this president talked about kicking people out and beating them up. People did get beat up. And the problem is now, when you make the press the enemy, which he has, there are people out here who are crazy enough to really feel that and to act on it. And, you know, some of my dear colleagues who are going to some of these rallies, you know, some of these rallies have been so tense, they've been fearful for their safety at times. All the president has to say is act on it, and people will turn. This is someone who has the power of life and death in his tongue and in his pen, and also the fact that people will turn on the press in a moment's notice. So this is not shtick. This is real for us. And we are covered by the founding fathers, these white men who covered all of us, not knowing that there would be social media or people like us covering the White House. So this is a dangerous game, and this president vowed to uphold the Constitution, and the free press is part of that. And he's going against his vow when he was inaugurated. So I take this seriously. And in the call our friend Chuck Todd, SOB, that was wrong. That was totally wrong. Chuck is a stalwart. He's fact-based, and he works hard at what he does. This is not right. Period.
This is the tension that I think we're getting at. Is it just comedy, or is it very serious? Let's look at how Chuck Todd addressed this on Meet the Press a few minutes ago. He had the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, on, and Todd, although Todd didn't reference himself, he brought up this issue of vulgarity.
Many people, including myself, raise their kids to respect the office of the presidency and the President of the United States. When he uses vulgarity to talk about individuals, what are they supposed to tell their kids?
Again, I'll be with my kids this morning, and I'll be focused on them on what the president is doing to protect the United States, its citizens, and more important,
so he's
economy.
not immoral. Don't worry about his values. Don't worry about him as a role model.
I've never said that whatsoever. Obviously, there were a lot of funny moments on that rally.
Yeah, they were hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, there it is in a nutshell. Hilarious moments versus Chuck Todd being sarcastic about it.
Yeah, and this gets to the heart of something that, you know, Selena Zito actually highlighted during the campaign, people taking him seriously but not literally. This is the increase in the riff you hear from Trump members of the administration and fans and other apologists, which is that, look, don't listen to what he says. Watch what he does. And if you get worried about what he says, you don't have a sense of humor. And the reason that's ultimately insidious is because the words of a president do matter. And if ultimately that riff attacking the press is about undermining institutions that exist to hold power to account, that's dangerous as well, fundamentally.